So my love,
Yes,
we're back at it.
we're back at it.
But I think this time with a whole lot more clarity and intention. We started recording this show literally, almost 2 years ago now? No, it was like a year and a half.
It was last year.
No, we started before last year. Oh, wait, hold up.
Baby, we started last year, October.
Oh, damn, that's right.
Yes, we started last year, October.
Yeah, so this year's been a year we've been like working on ourselves a lot. And
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Caught up.
There we go.
Time be moving fast.
It does what it does.
It do. But yeah, I think now we finally gotten to a place where we got so much more clarity on not only what we actually want to do with this show, but like what we're about, what we want the show itself to be about, the direction that we're going in. And I'm glad to finally be in that space because I know with the recent, content that we shared and that we've pushed out, we didn't even plan to share none of that.
I know. They were like lost files.
Literally, that's what they were.
Yeah.
So for everybody who's, listening to the show or watching it, depending on where you're checking us out at, we honestly had no plans on sharing like the last, 6, 7, 8 recording sessions that we did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We were just having conversations and lo and behold, we started making clips from it one day. We ended up going viral a few times. People was really, really rocking with our message and the stuff that we were putting out. But we just liked it.
Yeah.
Like we just liked some of the stuff that we were sharing and thought that other people will rock with it too. And in that moment, that gave us so much more clarity on what people actually wanted from us and what we wanted to share. And fortunately enough for us in the space that we've grown into, it felt the most right.
Absolutely.
And the most real. And I think now we have a whole lot more clarity on the direction that we want to take all of this. So I'm glad to be in a space now to where I feel like we can create with some real intention.
Absolutely. I'm excited to share our story and our perspectives because can't nobody steal our stories.
Yeah.
Can't nobody tell stories the way we do. No one has our perspectives that we've seen on social media. So it's like, I'm excited to share that because no one can debate that. No one can debate what we've experienced and the things we've grown, the ways we've grown through our marriage.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to share, honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's so dope about our approach because even in the stuff that we've talked about before, we always come to the table or to the show itself, with a reflective mind.
Absolutely.
Like we're not trying to be perfect or anything like that. It's just we've lived through some stuff, we've learned some stuff, and now we just want to talk about the way that we perceive those things being on the other side of it or how we're feeling about certain things like in the moment. And like you said, nobody can steal our stories. It's literally things that we've lived through and that we're learning as we're growing through life together. And I think that that's so much more valuable than telling people, hey, this is what you should do if you want your relationship to last 10 years or longer or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, we don't know what works for real. Like we know what works for us.
Yeah.
But we can't tell nobody else what you should do. Like we can give a perspective, but that's about it.
Listen, that is actual facts. I literally made a post about that before we got on before we started recording.
Yeah.
I was saying like, I get a lot of messages from women talking about their relationships and the issues that they have. And I'm like, I don't mind discussing your issues and your situations, but you don't know me from anywhere. You don't know what my personal beliefs are, my values are, my life experiences. So even what I tell you that could be advice, it might not work for you. It might not be right for you. And it might not be right for the person that you're with.
Yeah.
So it's like, I could tell you my thoughts on it, but it shouldn't hold any weight on what decisions you make for your relationship because it may not be right for you and yours.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I love that our content is us sharing what we've experienced in our relationships and our perspectives of that. It's not telling you what to do. You do what you believe you should do, but this is what has worked for us in our marriage.
Yeah, and that's why I say it's like reflective.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we've lived through some stuff, and this is how we're looking at it at this point in time.
Yeah.
But like we've said before, like we've said stuff on our show before in the past and have completely disagreed with it.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's like, bro, we're aggressively learning. We are aggressively learning and growing. We're reading more. We're starting to journal more. We're starting to do all of these things to transform who we are. And in doing that, a lot of the times that takes us looking back at things that we've grown through. And so that's why we don't give advice telling people what they should do, because even us, we realized that our way of thinking before in certain situations probably wasn't the best. And we can look at those situations differently now and say, you know what, maybe we could have thought about this differently. Or this is another approach that we could have took, or something like that.
Or maybe what we did work for that time, but if that situation comes up again, that same method might not work for this time around.
Exactly.
So you got to be able to reflect and look back and say, okay, this happened like this before, but the way we operate now is not going to work how it did before.
Absolutely.
Because we are not the same people who were in that situation before.
It worked for that version of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's how we're growing through so much of this stuff, right? And so when people are asked, like, oh my God, like the amount of stuff we get
Your
asked,
DMs
it's
be
crazy.
going crazy.
I swear, man, like it's at this point now, like I try to just do like voice memos, like responding to people. Cause ain't nobody got time to type that long.
Yeah.
Like I got a few dozen I still haven't responded to.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't want to. It's just the fact that like time, ain't nobody got that level of time, boss.
Absolutely.
Like we're going to have to turn it into content and talk about it or whatever. But I always tell people, like, even when I'm responding to messages, this ain't advice. Like, this is just the way I'm thinking about it. But also keep in mind, you don't know me from nowhere. You don't know what my values are, none of that stuff. Even though we're trying to create content to where we're talking about it and sharing that stuff, but still, you don't know me.
Yeah.
We don't have a personal connection.
Right.
And I also would like for people to be able to realize that you really have to be able to vet people and see what their intentions are. Like when they giving you advice and speaking to you, are they speaking out of ego? Are they trying to lift themselves up or actually help you? Also understand, I don't know your whole story, any of that stuff.
Right.
All we can do is just give you a way that we're thinking about it, a perspective with our limited amount of information. And I always tell people, take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
This is just what I'm thinking about it. But no way does that mean that you should go and do what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
This is just the way I'm thinking about your situation. And I encourage you to further think about it. And maybe you can take some of what I say into consideration if it can be beneficial. But that doesn't mean do it.
Yeah.
It's just, here's a perspective of somebody on the outside looking in. Because that's the same thing that we do in our relationship. Like we live through stuff. We think about it. We grow through it. Sometimes we make decisions and they work out. Sometimes we make decisions and they don't work out.
Yeah.
And we have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But that's life. That's kind of how life works.
A little bit.
A little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just look at the situation, you figure out, hey, how does this serve me in this situation or in this particular moment? You make the call and then you live with whatever happens after the fact.
Right.
It's really that simple. But, you know, I think now that we have a lot more clarity on the need, you know, that people have, and I think the gap that we can fill, I'm excited.
Me too.
Like, I'm excited to show up for people, man, because we have to have more productive conversations about love and meaningful relationships and marriage. And let people know, man, that even though we're in the process of intentionally building our brand and our platforms and stuff like that, honestly, we just want to promote the value of love and meaningful marriage and relationships, and also encourage people to think for themselves.
That part.
Think for yourself. Like, I don't want to be seen as an influencer, so to say. If anything, maybe a thought leader or somebody who has a perspective that's beneficial and actually helps people. But I don't want to be one of those people that's out here just giving advice, thinking that like I'm on this pedestal and I'm any different from the next person. Because, man, we make mistakes, we grow through certain stuff or whatever. Like, I don't ever want to paint that picture that we're somebody that's so above other people or anything like that. Like, nah, boss, we trying to figure this thing out just as much as the next person.
Right. And that shows in our content, I believe, for sure. Like, we just open and honest.
Yeah.
Like, the transparency is there. And it's just real.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, we've always had that thought process to where it's, how can I turn whatever experience I've lived through into something productive? Mm-hmm. Like, how can I make it useful? And it's not even always about it being true. And that'd be a lot of the things that gets people sometimes.
You gotta explain that one, baby.
Breaking it down.
That's a good one.
Sometimes, even in situations that we go through, we choose perspectives about the situations that serve us. And it's not about it being true. It's about it being effective to get us to do something that we need to do. About us getting to a point where we can feel or get emotionally involved with something that we need to do, a belief that we need to have, a feeling that we need to create in ourselves to encourage us to do a certain thing, to be inspired, to be motivated, to do something. And it's not always about it being true. It's like something that we've lived through. Like, for example, when we were going through the house buying process, right? We looked at about 60 houses. We got so many no's. We got turned down so many different times. We was ready to throw in a towel countless times. We went through all of that stuff, and it was literally breaking us apart because we was desperate because of all of the stuff we had going on. And there was moments we was thinking like, maybe this just isn't meant for us, all of this other stuff. But what we ended up realizing after the fact is that situation brought us so much closer together. And we realized that, in a moment of crisis, because we was literally almost homeless.
Facts.
Twice. We was literally almost homeless twice. Trying to buy a house, running into situations with the apartment complexes, all kind of stuff.
No availability. Like, the lease was running out in our apartment. No availability in any other apartments that was in the area we needed to move to.
We had all our stuff packed in a U-Haul with nowhere to go. It was just in there.
For real.
We were sitting and I'm like, well, we got to be out of here tomorrow.
Yeah.
We finna go park somewhere. Like, we had no clue. Yeah. But like, going through that whole situation, we realized that even when crap is hitting the fan, we will show up for each other and respond to the situation, and we still never turned on each other.
Thanks.
And we realized how gritty we can get in any situation and still maintain our relationship, even going through hell.
Yes.
And that situation I mean, the crying, the sleepless nights. Being frantic.
The alcoholism.
Yes. I'm talking about just trying to watch Family Guy to numb the pain.
Like, oh my God.
But we still, yeah.
This is real. This is real.
Let's be honest. We had some unproductive vices.
Man.
Trying to get to that moment. That was like 6 months of.
You know how much weight we gained?
Yeah, man.
Oh my, it was the stress. It was crazy.
Just 6 months of just going through it. Even when I looked at our memories from when we bought the house, bro, we was so chunky. We was so fat in the face. Like, we was so chunky from eating and drinking, man, just trying to make it through the day.
Right.
And of course, that is not the best way, but that's just what happened.
It's what happened.
It's just real.
Yeah, it's what happened.
But in navigating that moment, it showed us, again, in hindsight, that we still got us. We still got us. Like, there's nothing that can come at us and throw us off of our union. Even though our baby girl had stuff going on, even though we was not making some of the best decisions, we was trying to figure it out. Yeah. But we still had us. And we were still loving on each other, supporting each other through all of that. Absolutely. And that's just a perspective that we have from that now. Yeah. But we had to live through it. And we had to choose a perspective about that situation that serves us. And that's just one of dozens. Many. I mean, we, 12 years together at this point, like, we got hella stories. Yeah. But that's kind of the thing, though. It's like, how can you pick a moment or look at a moment that you've lived through and frame it into something that makes it productive and it doesn't rob you of your energy to do something that you need to do or to grow a way that you need to. And we've learned to do that. Absolutely. Emphasis on learn to do that. Yeah. Because it's not something that comes natural. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so good. That's so good because I don't think people realize how much you learn in the process of being married. It's like
everybody's like, okay, well, I want to be in a relationship and I want to get married. And then you're just going to know what to do. You're just going to know how to be a wife. You're going to know how to be a husband. You're going to know how to solve problems together. No, that's actually not how it works. You're not going to automatically know. Life has to life. And as life lives, you learn and you grow together through those situations. Yeah. And you learn how to show up for each other in those situations. Because you've been single your whole life. Why do people think that like you can go from single to knowing how to be married like just in an instant? That's not how it works. Like you actually learn and grow with each other through life situations, through the challenges, and that's what makes you. Yeah. That's what makes you the stuff. And people are trying to avoid that. Like some people are actually trying to avoid the challenges that are within relationships, and it's like, no, that's how you strengthen relationships. Honestly, I mean that's what's worked for us. But we've had so many challenges, so many growth moments to where we know that that's actually how it works, you know? So,
but the thing about that though is the fact that people can also see that in every other area of their life. It doesn't change.
Absolutely.
Anytime you're going through a moment of growth, there has to be some level of stress or friction to encourage the growth.
Yes.
And so we can all think that we know that how we can all think that we're going to know how we're going to show up in a situation. But you don't know till you're there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes making those mistakes, making bad decisions or not the best decisions. It takes just growing through certain things and just seeing how you're going to adapt when life happens.
Absolutely.
And that's one of them things, man. Like, can't nobody really tell you how to do that. Like, you got to be able to go through it because you don't know how you're actually going to feel emotionally when stuff happens. You don't know. We don't know, especially if you're asking us, what's your level of emotional involvement in that situation?
Yes.
How does the person you're with respond to dealing with stress? Because you two might respond differently.
Right.
And the fact that you have that difference means that you have to handle each other different.
Yes.
That's all little things that you don't know until you're growing through it.
Right.
And so it's understanding, man, that you got to be with somebody who you enjoy the journey with and who you believe is worth it. And also understand that when it's happening in real time, how can we be able to grow through this thing in a way to where it's productive and we can do it without losing one another? And nobody can teach that, man. So it's like with this show, what we've decided to do is, we done grown through a lot of life together. As the unique individuals that we are, let us just give you a little bit of our perspective based off of what we have now looking back and the things that we're doing now that are working and the direction that we're growing in, and just give you a little bit of a insight into our process.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. Not saying you got to do it like we do it, but let's think about it.
Yeah, and we're never saying you should do it like we do it. Like ever. That's not even the context of this. Is do it how you feel you should do it for your relationship. This is just to give you another perspective outside of what's popular on social media.
Yeah.
But you find your own way. that is what we're saying here. Use your own mind. Your relationship is unique to you and the person that you're with. So what works for us may not work for the next.
Yo, that just reminded me of something. That reminded me of something.
What?
So we're part of some marriage communities.
Oh, God. Yes.
Yeah, we're part of some marriage communities where oftentimes people like to give out their advice on what people should do. And it's not always the best.
Listen.
But the reason why I say that, though, is because people will give advice based off of their values and the uniqueness of their relationship.
Yes.
And even if it sounds good, it sounds good based off of the dynamic of the two individuals in that relationship.
Yes.
Which does not mean that every other relationship or marriage or people in that union should be able to execute whatever that type of relationship dynamics, the things that work over there the same way. And people think that just because something sounds good, that it applies across the board. And that's not the case.
Or that it sounds good or that it worked for them, that it applies across the board. And it's like, no, that's not necessarily true, because what I should do for my husband is based on my husband. What you should do for your husband is based on yours, and the same with wives. Like, I know my husband's needs. I don't know every man's needs. I don't know every husband's needs, but I know my husband's, and that's what actually matters.
Talk about it, babe.
Yeah.
And people go, I think, man, oh my God, like that's one of them things that really irks my nerves, man, because I don't care how successful two people look. They've cultivated that.
Yeah.
Said another way. They've created that. They've groomed whatever that relationship is into being whatever it is. They've done the work. They've gone through the fire, the trials, the tribulations, all of that, and created something based off of their own effort. That does not mean that you should sit over there and try to attempt to do what they just did. And you are not those two people.
Facts.
And even though like we're in these, married communities and whatnot, it always blows my mind that people can hear something and just run with it and not take the time to realize that, you know what, my relationship ain't like this. It ain't set up like this. Or just because a post went viral doesn't mean that I should try to incorporate whatever this is into my marriage.
Some stuff just don't apply to you.
Yes, believe it or not, no matter how good it sounds,
it just don't apply.
Not all stuff applies to you.
Right.
And it don't matter if it's two married people, single people, business advice, health advice. It does not all apply. I don't care who else liked it or how viral it is.
Right.
Or how great and poetic it sounds with soft music and all of that stuff just working your feelings. Just because it sounds good does not mean that it applies to everybody.
Right.
And I know a lot of people know this to some degree, but what gets us is the fact that people don't understand what you consume online does program you. And you need to choose your own selective programming.
Listen.
And then you have to have the wisdom to be able to find information and make it apply to you uniquely. Not the way that you see it, because the way that you see it and the way it should be applied are not always the same.
Right.
Now, oh my God.
You finna go off. You finna go.
No, I ain't finna go there. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna relax. But man, it's becoming a rarity for people to think for themselves. It is becoming a rarity for people to think independently of what they see everywhere else.
Yeah.
And I don't care, man. Like, some can sound good, but it still don't mean that you should follow it.
Right.
Let me recharge.
Oh, yeah. You hear our dog going crazy out there?
Hey, man. So, as y'all know, we record this in the house. Yeah. We record our show in the house. So sometimes we got to hear the dogs.
The kid
running around.
My mom.
Mother-in-law, her dog. Random thumps in the background. And we be like.
Sound like something done failed. Just.
Yeah. So, rock with us, man.
Yeah. This is real.
Parent life. Parent life. You know, we got a house full.
Yeah. And,
yeah.
We're still showing up.
Still showing up.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that what we're doing here, or what our intent to do here, is so meaningful, because we need to make sure, man, that as we're talking about marriage and trying to create this environment for people to grow, that we create an environment to where people can intentionally learn to look inside themselves for the answers.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people ask questions and they already know the answers, but they look for that additional level of validation.
Listen, people ask me questions with the answer to their question in the question they asked me.
All the time.
And I'm like, am I crazy for seeing that you already answered what you already asked? So yeah, I think that's really funny though.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know the answer. You just got to trust yourself and make the decision.
Yeah.
And sometimes the decision, it hurts. And I think that's what people are trying to run from. The decision that actually, even though it's the right decision, it's not always the best feeling decision, you know?
Absolutely.
So.
On top of the fact that you're still asking somebody whose opinion shouldn't outweigh your own.
Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, you can ask me what I think about it. You can ask my wife what she think about it. However, our opinion about something shouldn't overpower or outweigh your own when you're the one who has to live through it and who has to deal with the results or the consequences.
Absolutely.
And you don't know, man, we could be feeling off that day and just say some crap. Not saying that we would. Let me add that.
No, people have off days. That's real. People have off days, and sometimes you just, it's like,
nah, because if I'm like that, I'm just not going to respond.
That part. That's how I am. I've read some stuff and I've been like, yeah, today is not the date I need to talk to you about this thing. Like, and that's even in like real life. Like, today is not the day to have this conversation with you. We just gonna talk another day.
Yes,
because I can't.
And that's acknowledging the humanness in people.
Yes, like I can't deal with it today.
Yeah, like I had somebody ask me something one time, and fortunately enough, I was occupied and I didn't have the time to be able to respond. But I ended up going back one day when I wasn't so busy and I responded or whatever. And God bless this individual here. She was like, I don't even remember what I asked you. But I'm in a great space and I was probably going through something emotional now, whatever. Me and my partner are doing like amazing. And they were able to self-soothe and figure out whatever that situation was.
That's so good.
And sometimes you need to do that.
Yes.
Sometimes you shouldn't just be running to another source. And she was just feeling emotional. She was a wreck. So imagine what my words could have done to her that day. Hopefully I wouldn't have said anything that would have thrown anything off.
You wouldn't have. You're not that type of person,
but still,
I feel you.
Understand her humanness in that.
Yeah.
Because she was in a vulnerable state. And I'm fortunate enough to where I wasn't even able to respond at that time. And it gave her the opportunity to look inside or do whatever she did, to be able to resolve her own situation and not have to resort on somebody on the outside coming in to be able to potentially fix whatever this is or try to get you away from doing the work that you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes it's just all it takes. And so, yeah, man, I don't know. It just worked out that way.
Yeah. And
I'm glad, that it did, of course.
Right.
But yeah, man, people have to realize, man, that you got all the answers often. Oftentimes you have the answers in yourself.
Right.
That's not everybody. That is not everybody. That does not apply to everybody. But oftentimes, a lot of people, I ain't even going to say most, a lot of people already have the answers to the questions that they're looking for.
Right.
They're just afraid of dealing with the answer.
The actual answer. Yeah. And the decisions that come with that.
Yeah. So what are you looking forward to, baby, from, this show and our direction ahead?
I feel like I already said it, but it's okay.
Now, what else are you looking forward to?
I think my big thing is I'm looking forward to being consistent with the show.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing the show for a year straight, nonstop episode every week. Like I'm looking forward to just like hard charging on the episode. Yeah, I'm looking forward to how much more we'll grow because we've grown from, when we were doing the show, the last year. So yeah, I'm excited for what it's going to produce. I'm excited for the versions of us it's going to produce and also the help that it's going to produce for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that makes sense. I hope I said it the way I needed to.
I got it.
Yeah.
Somebody else will get it too. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I definitely agree with all of that. Like, I think that this is going to further help us become another version of ourselves that we know is there, but we still don't know exactly what that image of us looks like just yet. And, man, for one, having clarity is so powerful.
Yeah.
And we've been so off and on, with this show literally over the past year and some change now because of the struggles we've had with clarity and what we want to do and all of that stuff. But now having gotten to a point where we do have it, consistency is definitely what I'm looking forward to more than anything.
Yes.
Because people need help and perspective and a more positive and productive outlook around marriage and relationships. And I think that we're able to help fill that void that we see. And I think that we can share some perspective and insight that's actually going to help and be beneficial and not so divisive, especially when we are a happily married couple who advocate for marriage and people being together productively. Like, I think that in and of itself is going to be able to shine light in a different way. But I'm so looking forward to us not evolving, because that's not actually the right word, developing into this next version of ourselves after seeing what this produced after a year or 2 or 3 of consistency and seeing how our communication evolves.
I was going to say that next. I feel like this show is a part of like our marriage goal. Yeah. Like it helps us connect better. Like I've learned so much for us during like recording these shows, understanding like, because sometimes we'll come to the show with our certain thoughts about a particular topic, and then we'll develop more, we'll talk more, and then it comes out as a different way. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't think about it that way, or you didn't think about it that way. And it's like, I love watching it unravel in real time. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I like how our thoughts unravel in real time, and it's usually not even planned. Yeah. So I love watching how our conversations just develop and they build, and how beautiful conversations can be, and just showing people that conversations don't actually have to be hard. It doesn't have to be uncomfortable. It's like, if you love somebody and y'all are trying to build something with each other, your conversations need to grow as you grow. So us doing that on camera is actually really dope, I think.
Yeah, and you learn how to communicate effectively with the one that you with. Yeah. And sometimes that looks different. Yeah. And I know, man, I really got to stop saying man. Like, I say man so much.
You do say man a lot.
I got a lot of filler words.
Listen, I say I don't know.
All of that stuff.
Yeah, we have filler words.
And see, but that's one of those things, because as we do this show, y'all will get to see and watch us or hear us evolve and grow and develop as we communicate. And that's always been a goal. Like, how can we become better communicators? How can we learn to speak to each other a little bit better? And I tell people all the time, I'm like, hey, if you struggle with communication in your relationship, find a way to be able to, start learning to be able to be a better communicator. Do something that encourages it, either if you're doing it in your real life with other people you talk to, start a show, record, sit down, have intentional conversations, journal, read, write, whatever, and find ways to make that possible. And this is a way for us to be able to do that. Yeah. And that was one of the big things for us in the beginning. It's like, we want to be able to communicate better, and we want to talk about things that are serious and important to us. We may as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone, hop on this thing, have these conversations, be able to share value with other people, and grow closer together, and learn how to be able to be better communicators. And we just get to grow and do these things together. Like, that's the path we chose.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think something that's also dope is the fact that you hear so much about, keep your marriage, your relationship private so no one can see, nobody can, speak down on it or know your business, stuff like that. But I don't truly believe that, because you don't know how to do a thing until you see someone else doing a thing. You don't know how certain things work until you see somebody else do it. Even growing up for me, some of my favorite shows was, the shows where the big, beautiful Black families, husband, wife, the kid. Like, I love that. But I still didn't know how a happily married couple operated. Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, here's a little sneak peek into what we're doing that's helping us, and just showing people what that could look like for them, but what it actually does look like for us. Yeah. I really hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Basically, the way that you saw all of those things, you want to be able to be what you saw.
Yeah, I want to be able to be that. I don't want to be like, oh, I got to keep my marriage so private because I feel like I'm going to lose it if I share it with the world. Yeah. You know how strong we are? You know how strong this marriage is that we've built together? We've been through a lot of stuff. I know you was going. We've been through a lot of stuff. And if that stuff can't shake us or break us, baby, us sharing what we've learned on our marriage with people on the internet, that's not gonna do anything.
And to back what you was saying,
Yeah.
it's always really been interesting to me when I hear people say that, like, oh, keep all of your stuff private and all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people only say that because they, to some degree, realize how easily influenced they are. Mm-hmm. Now, with us, we've never been easily influenced by anybody regarding our marriage outside of us. Mm-hmm. And that was from the beginning.
From day one.
When people was telling us we shouldn't get married. We have never been easily influenced. And the dope thing is, anytime that we've decided that we even wanted to take something in and we've heard it from a worthy source, we talk about it.
Yes.
Before we do that thing to get both of our feedback on it.
Yes.
And our thoughts on it. Before we ever implemented anything that sounded good.
Right.
We've always done that. Mm-hmm. I don't know who gave us that way of thinking, but it's one thing that we've learned. Mm-hmm. And so when people say that, like, oh, keep your stuff private, it always makes me think to myself, it's like, well, are you that easily influenced to the point to where somebody can just say something and it shake your whole relationship, or make you think differently about the person you're with, or make you move differently with the person that you're with, or whatever the case may be? Yeah. Are you that easily influenced? And if so,
please keep it private.
Not even just that. Here's the double-edged sword on that. What are you consuming that's also impacting your relationship?
Right.
Because you crazy to think that if you're that easily influenced to where you need to keep your whole relationship completely private, but you're still consuming content, information online that also goes against the values or the standards that you have in your relationship, you're subconsciously getting impacted anyway. Regardless. And people don't think about stuff like that. And you crazy if you don't think the stuff that you consume has some type of impact on your mindset, your happiness inside your relationship, the way that you see yourself, the way you see your partner. And I can say this with full honesty, because after us having gone viral so many times, we have gotten to a point to where we can segment audiences of people. We know what the exact language of the hurt single dude community is. Yeah. We also know the exact language of the thriving, happily married community. We know the hurt women. We also know the people who are
just on social media for fun. Bullshit.
Exactly, for fun.
You know, I mean.
Or the extremely free, open-minded community.
Yeah.
People got buckets.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, you can go through comments long enough and you can start to put people in buckets because they got a similar language, which means that all of those people in whatever bucket you in, you can tell that they're consuming the same content because they all sound the exact same. Yeah. Or we see a meme that's viral and it's very popular among certain communities. Well, and we have people hopping in our comments
and repeating,
and they're repeating the same stuff word for word.
At least
like they said it.
At least try to be original. Like at least.
And here the sad part is they don't even know that they're literally doing that. They inside of a box of people who have a certain way of believing, and it's counterproductive to what they want. And people don't even know, man, that they are that influenced online, which is why I always say, make sure that you ain't following nothing that's not in alignment with your own beliefs and values.
Right.
Of what you actually want.
Right.
Not the stuff that you sitting over here battling and depressed and believing and all of this other crap. Consume the stuff that actually adds value.
Right.
To the desired outcome or future that you do want. Because going back to the main point, if you're being easily influenced by things in your real life, it's happening just as much, twice as fast, or 10 times as fast online and in your phone. And you crazy if you don't believe that. I'm sorry. That's just got to keep it real.
It just is what it is.
It just is what it is. Yeah. It's happening way faster there because you're getting way more of it. A whole lot faster.
Right.
But yeah, man. So we got to really be intentional about creating a space to where people can start to think for themselves.
Yes.
Cultivate the relationships and the love that they want for themselves, and doing it on purpose, and not being so easily swayed by everybody outside of their relationship when they're the ones in it.
Right.
So this is the beginning of that.
Yes.
And the way ahead.
Absolutely.
And we are here.
I'm excited to lead you
with our perspectives.
Yeah, I'm excited.
With our guidance.
You're such a goof.
Sometimes. Yeah, man. We hope y'all got value out of this, man. And we really just want to show up consistently.
Yeah.
Give the value that we think others would really be able to take and actually do something with. Start thinking differently. Start having better, more productive conversations, and actually growing deeper in love and doing this thing on purpose because it's good on this side. It's good on this side. Like, it's real good on this side. And we want more people to be able to experience that in a productive way. So until next time, family, this is One Dope Couple Podcast.
Yep.
And on YouTube, all of the places. Like, make sure, man, that y'all follow, y'all like, y'all subscribe, y'all do all of that stuff, man. Connect with us on whatever platform you're finding us. And until next time, my name is John Trone. This is my beautiful queen,
Adoria.
Hey. We out.
So silly.
I am.
Hey.
I don't know where that came from, but
I don't know. You just like to say it.
whatever.
Whatever works.
Peace and love, family.